Hey all, welcome to Simply QA. So in this session we will be seeing about the software testing lifecycle, that is STLC. So guys, testing is nothing but one of the phases which is present in STLC, that is software development lifecycle. If you are unsure about STLC and its types, please refer to my previous video. We have explained in detail. And the STLC is nothing but it is a process of testing the particular application in a well organized and step by step manner, so that we can ensure the high quality product that will be delivered to the customer, right? So we have around 6 phases in STLC. Those are requirement analysis, test planning, test case design, environment setup, test execution, and test closure. We can see about each and individual phases of these in next slide. So guys, if we need to test a particular application, we can't directly go and test, right? It do involves few steps to test a particular application in an efficient manner. So the first phases of this STLC cycle is requirement analysis. So basically, before starting the actual testing, what testers will do is like they will see and analyze what the actual requirement of the customer is, and what are the modules they need to be tested. So once they are clear with the requirements, they will again cross check with the business analyst that whether the requirement they understood is correct or not. So basically, in this first phase of requirement analysis, the testers will analyze the requirement and they will get to know the complete idea of the module that they are going to test. So our second phases of STLC is test plan creation. So guys, before going into any particular task, it is always advised to have a proper planning, right? So here QA team will create a test plan which involves the kind of testing they are going to follow and the test methods they are going to follow, and also the entire scope. They will discuss about the entire scope of testing for that particular application. Also they will allocate the roles and responsibility for individual testers in that particular QA team. So it is a kind of roadmap that the entire QA will follow for the rest of the process. And our third phases of STLC is test case development. So before going into the actual test execution, testers need to prepare the list of test cases. For example, if you are going to test a particular module, based on the functionality of the requirements of the particular module, user will write a set of test cases which covers the entire functionality of the module. So in this phase, the testers will prepare those list of test cases which needs to be tested further. So now the test plan is done. The test cases are also developed by the testers. And now what we need is the environment to execute those test cases, right? So QA team needs a proper environment upon where they can test the test cases which we have developed, and also they can test the entire application. No, now the next phase is environmental setup. So here for testing a particular application, we need to check whether the proper environment is created. So basically this environment setup will be done by developers. QA will just check whether the environment is ready and the application they are going to test is also ready, and they will acknowledge that environment setup is done. So once the environment is ready, they will go to the next phase, that is testing, that is actual test case execution. This is the fifth phase of the STLC process, and here is where actual testing will happen. That is, the testers will carry out the all combinations of testing, that is positive testing and negative testing, and they will use particular test method techniques to test that particular application. And here there may possibility of finding the defects also, that is, if the particular functionality is not working as expected, then it is considered as a defect, and they will report the defect also in this particular test execution phase. So test closure is the final phase of this STLC process. Here the tester will acknowledge that the testing is completed, and these are all the testing that is carried out by the QA team. They will give a kind of test execution report which consists of the list of test cases they have performed, the list of functionality they have covered, and the various type of testing methods they have used in this testing particular application. And also they will provide the defect reports if any. For example, if they have found any defect in the test execution phase, they will mention those defects and they will provide the defect report also. So this test closure phase is a kind of acknowledgement phase where the testers will sign off that testing is completed. So guys, let's understand this each phases of STLC with an example. Assume you have to test this sign-in module for this particular iteration, right? So what we will be doing in the first phase, that is the requirement analysis phases. You analyze what is the actual requirement of the user. That is, user needs a sign-in module with the two input box, right? One is which one which will accept email or phone number, the next one will accept password, and also if user forgets the password, there is a separate link to reset the password, and finally the sign in button. So these are the user requirements, and the testers will come to know the clear idea of the user requirement in this particular requirement analysis phase, right? So next is test plan creation. Here the entire QA team will create a test plan, that is this, which involves the scope of the module for the entire testing, and how much time is required to test this particular module, and how many QAs need to test this particular module within the given period of time. Also it will involve the testing methods or techniques that they are going to follow further, right? So this test plan creation will involve these things which will be documented to proceed further. So the next phases of STLC is test case development. So here the QA team will actually develop the test cases that they are going to test. For example, here in this module we have email or phone number. So they will write the set of test cases, that is, which includes both positive input data and negative input data, to test whether this particular input box is accepting the proper email and phone number. Similarly for this password. Similarly, if we click on forgot password, it should navigate to the different page, and set of actions, user actions will be performed there. And similarly the sign in button, whether the sign in is getting successful or not, right? So they will write a set of test cases considering all these aspects, and they will document those test cases. This is what they will do in test case development phase. And the next is environmental setup. So here in this phase the team will check whether the proper environmental has been provided by the dev team to test this particular module or application, right? So the next phase is test case execution. So here the testers will execute the list of test cases which they actually developed in the test case development phase, and they will report the defects if any. For example, consider while testing you have found on bug rate. So even if you give any phone number which is not already registered, right, even it is accepting that. So it should not be the case. Only the email or phone number which is already registered or created by the user, then in sign in page those email or phone numbers should be accepted, right? So it is one of the defect. So if these kind of defects or similar kind of defects are found, they will be keeping track of those defects in this test case execution phase. So the final phase is the test closure phase. So here the testers will acknowledge by creating test case execution report and defects report, right? In test case execution report, they will list all the test cases they have tested, and the list of environments they have tested, and also in defects report they will list the number of defects they have found, and then they will acknowledge that the testing is completed for this particular module, right? So this is the final phase of STLC phases. So guys, I hope you are clear with all the phases of STLC. If you have any comment, do let me know. Thank you.